Welcome back to the Social Selling Podcast, where today I am going to share the highest converting LinkedIn post ever. I am going to share the LinkedIn post that generated the most sales leads and revenue ever out of all posts. But I'm gonna start this with a slight caveat, in that in essence there are two. I'm going to share one that is absolutely scalable, repeatable, and then I'm going to share the other, which is definitely not scalable and repeatable, but is still incredibly highly converting. So one type of content piece, one type of post on LinkedIn that definitely has an incredibly abnormally high ROI is a job announcement. Now, LinkedIn's algorithm massively pushes these. So when you add a new job onto your LinkedIn profile and then you post it onto LinkedIn as a new job announcement, and you literally just use their template as, now I don't mean to be critical, but it is a very bland, there's nothing very exciting about their templates, but they work because it's the LinkedIn template. And so LinkedIn pushes it and it, does great things. But using that template, that simple template to announce a new job is an almost guaranteed way to drive really high engagement. And if you're smart in what you write within it or how you utilize it, you can generate incredible ROIs. And there are a couple of ways you can do this. I'm going to give you 3 big tips, and these are huge tips, by the way. So I get excited about these because I don't share these often, not in this sort of format. Normally, this is what I teach to corporate clients, but I'm going to share it today because I love this podcast and I love my wonderful podcast audience. So number one, let's say you're doing a job announcement. You've got a bit of text that you can add in the post above it, which is an opportunity for you to tell people what you do. If you work in sales, what are the problems you're going to solve? Who are the type of people that you're going to be working with? And then have a nice little call to action of, drop me a message if you would like to see if I can help you with this. Create a nice call to action, make it nice and clear. Look, this is the problems we solve. These are the type of companies or decision makers that we work with. Here are some examples of companies we have worked with and some results we've delivered for them. Make a nice little mini funnel in essence. And then if you're interested, please do let me know. That's step one. Step two is contact people. The people that are liking and commenting on it, message them. Hey, Tom, thanks for liking my post about my new job. I'm really excited about it. I'm really looking forward to doing X, Y, and Z. If you know anyone that might be interested, please do let me know. Kind regards, Dan. You would be surprised just how many people will get back to you. And okay, some might not be interested, but you will get some that are. And it's a great way of converting that job announcements engagement into sales opportunities. Now, step 3, and this is level 2 social selling. This is next level social selling. What you can do if you've got one of the premium LinkedIn accounts like Sales Navigator or one of the others, you can set out of office responses on LinkedIn. Now, when you put a new job announcement out, what you tend to get are lots of inbound messages from people saying congratulations. So if you can send an automatic message back to them saying, thank you for your message, going to get a lot of these, so I'll reply to you as soon as possible. But if you're interested in buying X, Y, and Z or talking about X, Y, and Z, please feel free to email me here or let me know. Again, it's all automated, so it's going to go out anyway, and it is a great way of driving even more sales opportunities. So those are a few ways of getting a really high ROI from your job announcement. But as I said at the start, it is not scalable. Please do not try and manipulate this. You can't put out lots of these every year. Hopefully, you might do this. So you can do this when you've got a new job, or you can do it for a promotion. So you could do this on a semi-frequent basis, maybe once a year or twice a year, but it's definitely not something I would recommend trying to game. We've seen a few companies out there try and game it and put out tons and justify it, but it really doesn't work. It works for the sort of individuality of that post. So yes, it is absolutely one of the highest ROI generating posts on LinkedIn, but it's not scalable. So yes, I'm glad we've talked about it. I hope I've given you a few ways that you can get the most out of it if and when the appropriate time comes to do a new job announcement. But there is another form of content, another type of post that is hands down the biggest ROI generating post on LinkedIn that is scalable. You could do these weekly. I think there were times I would do 2, even 3 a week, but there was a lot of work that went into that. But they absolutely can be done on a consistent basis. It can become a consistent lead generating source. And that is articles and newsletters. Now, for some of you, that might seem daunting. Oh, it takes ages to write a good article in a newsletter. It takes a while to write them for good reason because you're giving a ton of value, which is why they generate really high results. But the biggest reason they have huge ROIs is quite simple. It's because it's the only form of content you can have the biggest, juiciest, best designed call to action ever. You could do a LinkedIn poll and you can promote something great. You could do a text post and maybe briefly talk about something promotional at the end. Same with a video, same with an image. You are limited to how much space you've got to promote the product or service you do in an article or newsletter. And I'm going to bundle these together because they are the same. The whole piece of content is exactly the same. It's just how it's published that differs it from being an article or a newsletter. For those who don't know, an article, they're both essentially a blog. An article is an individual, independent article blog written, whereas a newsletter, you can create a consistent theme that this newsletter becomes. So it could be like, for example, one of mine is the social selling newsletter. Then every time I publish a new article under that banner, people can subscribe to it and they get notified. And there are lots of benefits to that. We've talked about those on previous episodes, but just so you know what the difference is. But ultimately, they're exactly the same form of content, same image, subject line, title, same size of content you can put in, formatting. You write it in the exact same place. So articles and newsletters are exactly the same form of content, slightly different variations of how you can do it. But nonetheless, the reason they work so well is you've got so much space, A, to give value in your content, but B, to then promote or sell yourself at the end. So if I give an example, and I've written hundreds and hundreds of these, I'm probably getting quite close to over 1,000 articles written over my time using LinkedIn. Let's say we are selling to sales directors. And I might do an article which is, here are the top 10 trends for sales directors in 2024 and 2025. And in that article, I'm going to share those 10 trends with a paragraph under each one explaining, why it's a trend and how sales directors can leverage that trend. So there's going to be a ton of value in that. Maybe I've got a couple of videos in there or a couple of images, a motivational quote. It looks really good. It's nice and easy to read. They're going to get to the end. They've gotten all those 10 trends. They feel like they've learned a lot. They've enjoyed reading it. And then at the end, I can then promote the product or service that I sell. So maybe if I was doing that article in particular, I would probably promote myself as an SKO or keynote speaker. And I might say, here are some of the biggest trends. If you're looking to get your team operating, ahead of the trends in your industry, I would love to come and speak at your sales kickoff or your next conference. And I'd probably have a video of me speaking, some details of the talks that I cover. And then at the end, I'll have, if you're interested, please feel free to message me on LinkedIn or email me at ... And that would be that. Now, I use that framework because that one has created probably the most speaking opportunities for me, not from like an individual article, but from using that in multiple articles over the years. You give a lot of value in the post, in the article, the newsletter, and then you have a very nicely well-written call to action that tells people what you do, the problems you solve, who you help, and you make it easy for them to get in touch with you afterwards. LinkedIn articles and newsletters are the highest converting posts. And this is coming from someone that's been posting every form of content, probably in the highest volumes out of every LinkedIn trainer out there for the longest time. This is definitely a consistent result. LinkedIn polls, very good at converting. Definitely, text posts, images, videos, they all have the opportunity to convert well, but they will always be dwarfed by the impact of an article or a newsletter. Now, in terms of writing it, there's a ton of guidance that I can share with that, but we just don't have time in the episode. What I will suggest, have a strong, simple title and go and check out subjectline.com to find out what the best titles are. It's just like an email subject line. You want a really good title in there, and then give as much value as you can in the article itself, and then have a good call to action that really does promote the product or service you sell, focused on your customer. Remember, it's not about what you sell, it's about what it's going to do for them. So really focus on the solution and how you help people and the results that you might achieve for them or you have achieved for other people. When your call to action is written like that, it's guaranteed to convert more. And if you really want to see this brought to life, head to my LinkedIn profile and you can go through all of my articles. They're all there. All my articles and newsletters. You can go to the daily sales and read the different articles and newsletters we share on there. You'll see the formatting. You'll see the value proposition that's in there. You'll see the call to actions. It's all going to be there. And you'll see quite consistently the format I've used for many years now. But hands down, articles and newsletters, the best converting form of content on LinkedIn. And obviously, yes, job announcements are a huge opportunity. Just don't try and gamify them. That's all I ask. With that, I hope that's given you some ideas of how you might be able to use articles and newsletters better. We've done some previous episodes talking about newsletters on LinkedIn with tons of tips to get more from them. And if you have any questions about writing better articles or newsletters, feel free to get in touch. And with that, we'll see you on the next episode.